All right. So, just spent the last 3 hours. It's about 5:30. Just spent the last 2 hours running around in the beautiful Florida weather. It's only like 90 degrees out, so that's nice. If it got any colder, I'd have to bring a jacket and my Ushanka. But and I know what I should be doing. Right at this point, I've got a couple hours to hobby it up, and I should really be working on those Mordians, or maybe finish off some more Marines. Maybe do some details and finish off these Lich Guard, right? No, screw that. I got this BA 3-6. It's 3 or 6 model in just today from Rubicon, and I'm building this thing because I've been waiting to get my hands on one of these forever for my Soviet army. Even though these were relatively, I mean, they weren't super common. Oh, wait. There's no plastic. They weren't super common, but they built a few of them, and there's just something about it that just, to me, looks awesome. All right, so into the garbage can. And it will go into the recycling, because I believe recycling is a good idea, and I think people should do it. And now we've got our, all right, so you got your German markings, Russian markings, Finnish markings. That looks like Hungarian. I'm pretty sure that's Hungarian, but it could be Bulgarian markings, Chinese markings. That would be the nationalist Chinese, not the communist Chinese, obviously. So that is a cool thing, all of these markings. And even though I'm not going to use hardly any of them except for the red stars, and maybe a couple of the numbers or something to put on it. Oh, there's even some fancy German markings down there for Polizei. So even though those are there, and I'm not going to use them, they will go in my big box of transfers, and I can use them for something else. So now let's grab these Lich Guard, put them right there for now. Get them out of the way. Let's put the phone to the side. Take a sip of ice water. Hydration is key. All right, so there's our parts. We've got sprue A and sprue C. No B. Okay, that's fine. If I like this thing, I might buy another one. Oh, it gives you the option to make it a half track if you want. Well, kind of a half track. It's just got tracks that go around the rubber tires, so. Well, that's neat. Let's see now. The first thing is turret assembly, so we'll go ahead and open this thing. They're melted, sealed, so. Does not look like a complex kit at all. And I like that. Just going over the sprues. There we go. The sprues are, they're pretty clean. I don't see a ton of, I don't see any flash on them or anything. So it's going to be a simple build. Again, I like that. One of the things I really like about a lot of the new GW kits, like the Impulsor, is they're very simple to build, really, and they look amazing. So I do have a Panzer III kit that my father bought me for Christmas, like 3 Christmases ago. And it's like a 135 scale, Tamiya or whatever. It's like a pro kit, like it's not basic or intermediate. This thing's like an expert kit. It's literally got like 600 pieces and brass etched parts and all this kind of stuff. Like you'd have to have a microscope or a, you know what I mean, a magnifying glass and some tweezers to build this kit. And of course, about every other time he visits, the first thing he does is, "Hey, do you ever build that Panzer kit I bought for you?" And I'm always like, "No." And I don't really have the, I mean, I tell him, I'll get to it, I'll get to it. But I probably never will. And the thing was, well, there's my pup. He's going to be pissed because I bought him a hat when we went to a store, a little Viking helmet. So in a little bit, he's getting ready to have a photo shoot, and he hates that. But anyway, so my pops is always asking about that, and I'm always like, nah, not yet. And it is what it is. But the fact is, I wanted him to buy me a plastic bolt action kit. And I didn't say Panzer III. It could have been any plastic bolt action kit, and I would have been happy. But instead, my papa bought me this kit that was probably twice as expensive as a bolt action kit would have been. And he's super proud of his purchase, of course. He's always going on about it, but the kit is just, it's one of those, like I said, it's one of those professional kits, like how you can go on YouTube and you can actually watch these guys in Japan building these damn kits, and they're super complex, and they're using all kinds of just advanced techniques, and when they're done, the thing looks realistic, like real, and that's just not what I do. I put a kit together and throw some paint on it, and then I move it around tables, and that's what I'm interested in. And on top of that, take a breath. On top of that, it's the wrong scale. It's far too large for any war game that I currently play or even know about. I can't imagine doing a 135 scale war game because the way movement and everything works at 135 scale, which is easily twice the size of 128. Really, it looks like it. They're very tall. That I think would only work if you're playing like a squad, a 10-man squad skirmish game, where you had like a little character sheet basically for each figure, and each figure's movement would be very complex, like exactly how many feet is he going to run, and exactly what position will he end his movement in. Is he standing, kneeling, or prone? I watched a game like that on YouTube. I cannot remember the name of the game for the life of me right this minute, but it was American Airborne versus a gun nest, and that was exactly the thing. Like all of the miniatures involved in this game, and like I said, it was like a squad of 12 American soldiers against 10 German, maybe less, but the Germans had a pillbox with an MG42 in it, and the game was very complex and very, very realistic on top of that. And it was really interesting to watch it played, but I don't know if I would ever play it, is the thing. I cracked a joke in the car when my daughter and I were out, and had my daughter laughing so hard she said she almost wrecked her car. Let's talk about, you ever date a lady that keeps bringing stuff up? I was like, maybe we should give these kind of women a nickname, call them Time Lords, because they always going back in the past. And she, of course, thought that was just the most hilarious thing she'd ever heard. Unfortunately for anybody, or whatever, or maybe fortunately, my daughter is just like me in temperament and everything, except I love people and she literally hates everything, and to a degree, everyone. So when we're in the Walmart and I'm being friendly and nice and talking to people, you know, like the little old Spanish lady that came up to me and asked me a question, and I'm like, no problem, mommy, and I compliment her on her necklace and everything like that. And I mean, she's abuela, you know, and I'm like, and my daughter's standing back looking at me like, what is wrong with this guy, you know? And of course, the little old lady was loving it, you know. We're having a whole conversation, and but that is to a degree. That's just kind of how I am. I tend to be a very friendly person, and I tend to really like people, even though I hate being around them if I can help it. But that's part of, that's part of a diagnosis I did not choose. So, so when I am out and have to be out, I have a tendency of turning it up to like 11 and being super all about whatever. I think a lot of that just might be a mask that I put on to it looks like I've got some little pieces here to deal with. But just kind of like a thing that you do. Okay, so that is right. This goes in this. A lot of these models are made so that you can, if you want, uh, elevate the barrels and everything like that. But I tend to, once they're in the position I want them to be in, I tend to glue them down. It's just, in my opinion, easier. Come on now. What's going on here? Get in there. This thing is, you don't have to. There we go. Perfect. I know this is rude. Whoever watches this, please forgive me for being so rude, but my phone's beeping at me, and that's either somebody being pissed off or. Okay, that's not a good joke, but this one could be good. It's got a Pomeranian. It's a little Pomeranian with a bow tie and a top hat and a cane standing up. It says, me adding nevertheless in my essay for a little razzle dazzle. I don't know if that's funny, but that Pomeranian is adorable. And I am a Pom kind of guy, so. Okay, let's move around. I need to get rid of these sprues. I've got probably 100 sprues hanging out that I've built. I probably got about 100 of these at least sitting in a box next to my desk. Okay, this is just some cheap thing I got at Walmart. We're going to see here in a minute. Garbage. I just emptied this, so I keep a garbage can right there. So, this is what we're working with. Right. Phantom will probably hate it, but maybe not. Phantom, are you in here, buddy? There you are. Come here. Come here. Oh, come up. I know I'm supposed to be doing a video, but I got you a hat. Look at this. Look at this hat. This is for you. Daddy got this for you. Oh, it's over your eyes. Don't worry. I'll fix it. Let me fix it. Let me fix it. See, what do you think? Look at the camera. See, look right here. See, you is Viking puppy. Viking puppy. Say, this is Phantom Pup of the Kievan Roos. Say, Roos, Roos, Roos. I know. You want to go show Mama? Go show Mama. He took it right off. But he stood there and let me show him off to the camera with it. Yeah, he was not a fan of the Santa hat at all. He was like, yep, nope. So, now to get back to actually building a model, instead of exploiting my poor dog. My poor dog. He's like, why do you exploit me, Daddy? I'm a goodest boy. And you... I think I did buy him some treats, actually. And I know when I went to PetSmart, I bought him a new chew toy. I got him a hat, and I got him a chew toy. It's weird. It looks like a milk cow, but when you squeeze it, it winks like a pig. I don't know. But I thought it'd be neat. All right, so that is the turret situation. And apparently that just slides right in here. So let's see if that's going to work. All right. All right, so that's what, let's see. All right, let's direct that back so that's not, okay, come here, figure it out. So that's our turret build. I'm getting ready to put the gun in it. So it wasn't like a big gun that was in this thing. It was like a 20mm or something. I mean, enough to threaten enemy half-tracks and armored cars, for sure. But you're not going to take out a tank with it or anything. But, again, that wasn't its purpose, so... Babe, what do you want to do tonight, since you're off tomorrow? You want to watch a movie or something? Well, I always want to watch a movie and cuddle. You have to keep your wife happy if you want to spend time. What? I'm not whispering. No, I'm not sure. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I try not to lie to you, so... I was just saying to whoever's watching that you have to keep your wife happy or she won't let you spend money on games. So she says that's true. So anyway, I'm building a Russian armored car right this second. And so far this kit has been amazing. And I'm really happy with it. And it looks really good. So far, so far, so good. I don't think I'm going to use the tracks or the little wheel upgrade track thing. I don't think so. I think I'm going to keep it a 6-wheeler. I think that's just a more interesting look. Come on now. That piece right there is just a little bit delicate. So... not a problem. Just have to go in at a different angle. There, see, perfect. So the instructions are really simple to follow. And that's good. Some kits are not so simple to follow. They're still great kits, but the Fiat tank that I love so much is not an easy kit to follow because the kit can build so many variants and they give instructions at each step for all 3 variants and it's not color coded, so it's really easy to mess up and then end up gluing on parts that you didn't want to glue on. But again, that might just be me. So these parts key in No problem. So I'm going to knock this model out and then spend some time with the wife. Then after that, maybe come back and knock. I haven't finished my Mordian Iron Guard for today. And I'd promised myself I would completely paint at least one of these per day. So that might be something I do a little later. Certainly not an exciting thing, just me painting a Mordian. My goal is by March 1st, and that's given me 3 months. Or actually, no, that's given me like 5 months. Wait a minute. October. Hopefully by January 1st, I have all of my Mordian infantrymen painted. And if I do one per day, that should be enough time because I've got like 80 of them or whatever. So wish me luck on that. Then I would have a completely painted Imperial Guard army, as opposed to the multitude of half-painted armies I currently possess. Okay. Look at this. Yeah, that's right. All right, and as I said about this Rubicon model, I mean, it's super self-explanatory so far how this guy goes together. So hopefully I can get a game in at some point. I'm in a game club and or in a game group. I've only met a couple of the guys, but the ones I've met have just been awesome people to talk to. And they do veteran outreach and stuff for people like me who are veterans, you know, and spent some time in the sandbox, and now you're home and maybe having a hard time. And it's been a long, long time for me, so since I was over there, but a lot of stuff kind of sticks with you like that, you know. My doctor says I say you know too much. I think he's right. So here's our rear axles. All right, clip these bad boys off. And I wish that's how I roll. One is how I normally roll. Okay, so we look at this thing. This axle will slip right onto these pegs right here. So throw just a bit of glue on there. The good thing about this glue is you don't need a lot. That is one thing. I used to always just use, say, Citadel plastic glue, or even there was a time when I built all my plastic kits with super glue. And what turned me around was watching the Japanese guys. You can watch them on YouTube, and they build these models for competition and copy their techniques, because some of these guys are truly artists. You know, I watched one guy for hours. He built a, I think it was a Puma. So a German, it's, you know, German 8-wheeled with a 50mm gun on it. And it was amazing watching this guy make this thing. And when it was done, it was just like, you know, okay. So this guy is going to get a couple of these. Well, it's going to get all of them, but it's going to get those. Boom. So there's 2 and 2. So it's a dually on the back. I wonder if it's a dually on the front too. And then it will be getting these up here, it looks like. Let's do this first. So they go on like that. Oh, I see what I'm doing wrong. I'm doing something wrong here. Let's see. Is that right? Or is this right? This is right. Okay. All right. So I need these ones right here. And they're keyed to only go on there a certain way because the bottom of the tire is actually flatter. Just a little bit. But that's one of those tiny little touches that makes the kit look a lot more realistic. Because if you look at a big heavy vehicle like that, like this thing, you would notice that the tires are going to be flatter at the bottom, you know. Unlike my Fiat, which, right, so that goes in like that and keys in. And then you just throw a little bit of glue around the outer side of that where they connect. Set it aside and go to the next. And by the time I get through all of these, the first one, the glue will have set somewhat. And then I can go ahead and put it on our truck itself. I really wish there was a plastic kit for a T60 or T70 Russian light tank. If there is, you know, and somebody's watching this on YouTube and they know of a plastic kit and 28 millimeter scale for the Russian light tank, hopefully you'll comment, because that's another vehicle that I would just adore, you know, being able to put into my army. All right, next step appears to be putting the hole on the thing. So we grab this, and it's going to just set right in here. So let's see if we can get it to sit in there. So right there is the basic build out so far. It looks like I'm going to need to hold it down just a little bit to get rid of any gaps. But that's to be expected with any plastic model, so I wouldn't take any points off of the kit for that. These things warp. Not just when they're being produced, they warp when you're cutting them off of the screws, even if you're not careful. But just put some of this Tamiya, this thin Tamiya glue in there, and then give it a little squeeze. Make sure it's lined up and give it a little squeeze, and hold it for a couple seconds, and it'll be just fine. This is a little car. This thing is actually smaller than a Hanomag. I'm kind of surprised by that. I don't know why it would be. It's about the same size as a 250. This is, of course, a Hanomag 251 new variant. You can tell it's the new variant because it has flat sides and it has a simplified rear hatch. You can use that for mid and late war, Panzer Grenadiers. I'm hoping one day they'll come out with plastic kit for a Pioneer version of that with the bridge building kit or the rockets on the side, the Stuka Zifus, as they called it. All right, this guy's done like that. And now I got to put a back on it, depending on which one. And I'm going to build a BA6. So the BA6 has the much simplified rear hatch. And it's the later variant. So even though I'll be, my opinion is, you're playing a war game, right? And they have, you have your sectors and you have your times. You know, because you're playing World War II, and obviously certain things weren't available in certain times, but I wouldn't care. Especially if you're trying to play something early war and you're trying to play it in a later war, because I know, having read a little bit of history and everything like that, um, that in extreme circumstances, different armies would just force whatever they had onto the field, you know. So it could be 1944 Berlin, and IS 1s and 2s could be storming down the Strasse at you. If you have a Panzer II, you might throw that joker out there. Hello, Sweden. Hello back from Florida. It's a balmy 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Well, actually 84 degrees Fahrenheit today at 6 o'clock p.m. for us. So thank goodness fall is here. Right now, I am just working on a Rubicon BA6. It's a Soviet heavy armored car. And just kind of BSing around. So that's done. And I need to put the front slab on it. So let's see, the BA6 front slab is A22. Beautiful Sweden. Sweden's one of the few countries in Europe I'd actually consider visiting. Sweden and Ireland, obviously. Yes, these are World War II models. This one specifically is a Soviet heavy armored car. They're made by a company called Rubicon, which I think is an English company, because it seems like most models are made in England. And I'm building them for a bolt action war game, Soviet force. When I'm not doing that, I spend time working on my Space Marines. Oh, let's get it right. This is a chapter I invented. This is a Reaver. There's their chapter symbol. And that light might show you they're actually like a very purple, almost a plum purple. I work on a lot of miniatures. Thank you very much. This is a more simple one I painted, but it's a cultist. I think I got. I love the Imperial Guard. I'm glad you mentioned the Imperial Guard. You might like this. I gave myself a challenge to paint one of these per day until I have all 80 done. And these are the old metal. I'm sorry, I'm shaking so much. These are the old metal Mordians. I got that black symbol out of a box of Macedonian phalangites. So like Alexander the Great's army. And that was, you know, it came with a bunch of symbols, and I saw that. And Games Workshop used to, and I'm talking like 20 years ago maybe, they used to sell actual packages of just random transfers, but for some reason they stopped that. So that's one of my Mordians. Here's another one. He's not done. He still needs the red and the white and neatened up and shaded, but you know. So yeah, that's kind of what I'm doing with IG. I've got a ton of tanks. Well, they're okay painted. I've got to this point where I stopped comparing myself to other people, because even though I've been painting miniatures since about 85 or 86, I'm just not as good as some people, and it used to really bother me to the point that I just didn't ever paint things, because I would go to our local comic shop in Orlando, and there are some guys there that are like award winning, because we have a huge community of Warhammer players, and when you throw your miniatures on the table with these other guys, you know, it would be easy to get really discouraged. But lately I've got to the point where If it's completely painted and it's not terrible, it's good, you know. And I've actually been pretty impressed with some of my paint jobs. I did this yesterday. This is a World War II German Panzer III J in winter. That's the winter because our local World War II game group, we're talking about doing like a big Stalingrad campaign or winter 43 or whatever. And I've already got Russians, so I've been working on Germans. That's a martyr, also in winter. I haven't put the crew in it yet. And but I've got a ton of work in progress stuff, D&D figures and stuff. We play D&D. Right now, I know of and have played two, but I know of three. There's Bolt Action, which is a 28 millimeter scale World War II game, and it has almost every army that had anything to do with World War II. So, or any wars that were around World War II. So the Winter War and things like that, between Finland and Soviet Union. Then there's another game called Chain of Command, which I really love. It's a very tactical game. And the third game is called Disposable Heroes. All three of these games are really good for World War II. The fourth game, and I have played this, it's hard to find, but maybe you can download it for free online. Games Workshop made a World War II game, which was a conversion of 40K. So it used all the same, strength, toughness, all that, except they converted World War II armies to this. And if you like 40K, it was really good, in my opinion. Some of these World War II games you can just download for free, really, if you look. I mean, a lot of game companies just give them away. But I've got way too much to paint, bro. I mean, like this is a work in progress. My brother and I've got a billion work in progresses. My brother and I bought 2 boxes of Indomitus and split them, and he took all the Necrons. So part of the deal was that I would paint his Necrons for him. So there you go. I have a bunch of Necrons to paint. Okay. What is the next step? Yeah. I think most people are mostly familiar with 40K. 40K is definitely the giant in the room. Okay. Get some wheels on this bad boy. This kit is really easy to put together compared to a lot of models I've put together. Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay is awesome, except for the 3rd edition I didn't care for, but this new 4th edition is really good too. My favorite overall is probably 2nd edition, but the 4th edition is really good. So you'll be fine DMing it, I'm sure. It'll be cool. You'll have a blast. All right, so we got some wheels on this bad boy now. At least the back wheels. Now we got to put on the fenders. I actually run a game of Dungeons and Dragons BX Essentials. Sunday night, except for last night, a lot of my players had to call out. So we played an old game called Twilight 2000, which is it's a game set in like a alternate history World War III, where all of Europe is, the Soviet Union never broke apart. World War III happened. You get to play whatever side you want. So, I mean, you're from Sweden. They have rules if you want to play Swedish Special Forces guys or whatever. And my guys, of course, my players. My wife didn't play because she's not into war games like that. But she loves D&D. We They all made American, and we had a blast. It's a that game hasn't Twilight 2000 hasn't been in print for 30 years, but you can get the PDFs on Drive Through RPG. So we got some mud flaps on. You look in here. Okay, that's okay. So all right, 41. Luckily, this one's actually marked with numbers. Some of these kids are not. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. Everybody enjoyed it. I don't know if it will ever play it again or if it was just a one shot. But they pretty much had to run from a Soviet advance out of the Ukraine. And right now they're hiding out on the outskirts of Warsaw, Poland. Their plan is to try and get through Poland and into Denmark. So, through Germany as well. But they don't really want to go into downtown Warsaw because it got hit with a low yield nuke. And this game is kind of simulationist, so you keep track of how much radiation you've been exposed to. And if you hit a certain threshold, your character will get sick and die. So that is a concern for them. And they're, it also, I mean, it sounds like some people wouldn't like it because you have to keep track of like every round of ammo. You have to keep track of every mouthful of food in this game. Because it's all part of the game. It's almost like Mad Max. But you're in Europe in the middle of a war that's been going on for quite a few years, and now both sides involved, the European alliance and the United States and the Soviets and all that, they're so beat up because of how this war has drug out that they're no longer really able to organize offensives against each other. They just kind of throw whatever they can get together and then try and take territory from each other. And part of the rule set when you're playing, if you're playing on the American side, the last radio communications you get from high command is, sorry boys, you're on your own. Very. So the United States is completely, in the setting, the United States has completely collapsed and has broke up into 3 factions. New America, which are kind of like white supremacists, and they run most of Appalachia and Arkansas and that area. And then you've got MilGov, which is the military, what's left of it in the United States, and CivGov, which is what's left of, the senators and congressmen, the civilian government. And there's not many of them because DC got nuked. And a lot of elected officials got whacked. No one is doing any better off, though, than the United States. most of Europe has devolved into warlords and city states. Like Krakow is a city state where strong men have come into power and they've gathered up as much ammo and food as they can, and they've almost returned to a feudal state. And then the players, their whole deal is they just want to go home. And that's what my group, they're just looking for a way home. And one of the guys seems convinced that they might be able to find it in Copenhagen. And the rest of them are not arguing. They're like, okay, we'll try to make it to Copenhagen, but so we'll see. They could be right. There might be something in Copenhagen. All right. It's a really good setting. It was created by a guy named Frank Chadwick back in 1990 and produced by a game company called Game Designers Workshop. But Game Designers Workshop died, I guess, in the late 90s, early 2000s. And I'm not sure why. I don't know the history of why that whole company died, but they just kind of vanished. And which is amazing because they had made a lot of really good games, like Traveler, which is a sci-fi game. That was a Games Workshop game, and they won tons of awards. They made all these awesome games that everyone loved, and then something happened, and boom, they were gone. Okay. Oh, there it is. Thank goodness. Okay, there it was. Kicked it with my foot. Where did it go? There it is. When you drop something, if you Swedish, yeah. Oh, Morkborg. I'm familiar with Morkborg. Yeah, the book for me, and it could be because I'm an old grognard. Morkborg was kind of hard for me to read and understand at first because of all the splashes and the arts and the different fonts they used. But the adventure in the back was amazing. I wish other companies would copy that format. It was really good. I almost wish that Morkborg would sell the book that and but sell it like a little bit more, maybe a little bit less art punk and a little bit more. Here's the game. Stockholm. Hey, that's good. I'm glad. They made a good game. They actually won an Emmy, didn't they? I think they did. Unless I'm speaking out of school, as we say here in the South. But I am pretty sure they won an award for Morkborg. And I know a couple of guys that are huge proponents of that game. They really like it. But yeah, it's definitely metal. And Swedish metal, no less. So, like Metalocalypse and stuff like that. Fin Troll, that, but that would be really cool. Um, you might notice talking to me that I mispronounce my own language sometimes, but that's because I am from the deep south. So, so how do you actually pronounce Morkborg? Okay, work. So Mork, Mork. Mork. So like Boria, Boria. Yeah, Boria. Boria. So Mork Boria. Oh, that's neat. Well, I appreciate it, man. The next time I'm talking to my game group and Mork Boria comes up, then I'll know how to say it, and I'll seem like the smart one in class. Uh, Mork Boria. I've heard of no, I think that guy might be Norwegian. One of the guys I talked to on Twitter said there's another Scandinavian game maker, but I guess he's a lot of people don't like him because he killed somebody or something a long time ago or something. So, but now I don't remember the guy's name. So we are almost done. Mork Boria. Boria. So let's see. The A23. There we go. It will go like this. Okay. Wow. I will tell you this: some of your guys' music is a bit too hardcore for me. I mean, Swedish or Norwegian or whatever, Scandinavian death metal can be pretty extreme. I tend to listen to like when I think metal, I think Iron Maiden, stuff like that. Not that I'm saying that your style is bad at all, but I'm just saying it's pretty hardcore stuff. I'm more of an Iron Maiden kind of guy. Maybe, well, sometimes I like to listen to King Diamond too. I think King Diamond might be Swedish or the lead singer. Yeah, I have a couple of younger friends that love it too. And now I do watch, and I don't know if you've ever seen it, but I do like Metalocalypse, which is kind of that way too. But and you know, the band Death Clock. So I am a fan of that though. Let's see now. So here we have the basic vehicle, almost done. Got the dualies in the back, tires in the front. Just a couple more parts. One is to throw the turret on. Super easy since that just clips on and spins right around. So there we've got the turret on it. Even though I usually glue that in. And what else do we need? We need the side tires. We need the spare tires, and that's it. Is that it? Oh, and the bumper. So spare tires and the bumper and done in an hour. That is not too bad. Sometimes. If it's a like if it's a kit that's gonna have an interior and everything like that, then I will paint it before assembly. But something like this, once the glue sets, like I'm gonna go watch a movie or something with my wife after I build this, and by the time we get done with that, the glue will have fully set, and I'll just take it out to my garage and spray paint it a matte black, and then it's going to get this shade of green. This is a Russian green. This is a World War II, early mid-war Russian, well, I say Russian, Soviet KV-1 heavy tank. I mean, half of my family is Russian, but my father's side are Russian. My mother's side is Irish and Welsh. But, you know, you gotta love America. All right. So it looks like the bumper assembly goes right there. So I need to actually flip this. And push it forward a bit. Come on, guys. Work with me now. And it goes right there. There was a short period of time where I actually painted my Space Marines on the sprue too. So darn it. Let's get this thing lined up. All right. That goes in there. That goes there. This piece goes here. That's the same reason I used to play Warhammer Fantasy Battles. But after Games Workshop killed it, I never went back to Age of Sigmar. And I know you're not supposed to speak bad, you know, that saying, if you've got nothing good to say, say nothing. But I Do not like Age of Sigmar at all. I've looked at it, I've read some of the lore, I've saw the miniatures, and I don't like it. I much prefer the old world where you had the Empire and, you know, well, you know, the Warhammer Fantasy roleplay setting used to be the war game setting. And they changed it. And I've heard the rumor was they destroyed the old world because they couldn't copyright it. And that's why Age of Sigmar, all of the armies in Age of Sigmar, instead of calling them orcs, they call them something different. The Dark Elves are called something different, you know, and I'm all like, whatever, to that BS. Especially since I have a massive Dark Elf army. Right. Age of Sigmar is like, I mean, it has some neat stuff, and there are some neat miniatures in Age of Sigmar. But, and again, my opinion, I like the old world better. And Age of Sigmar is a lot more like 40K than it is like Warhammer, in my opinion. It's a lot more like Warhammer 40K than Warhammer Fantasy. All right, so we've got the spare tires. If they are spare tires, they might actually be function tires. I haven't read up on that. Now we throw some glue in right here. We throw the front tires in permanently. They were just stuck in before. Okay, go here. There we go. All right, so now we got the front tires in there. And the last thing to put on is the bumper. And once that is put on, this bad boy is officially done. And we've been at it for an hour and 3 minutes so far. So, see if I can get my clumsy fat fingers around this thing. Get it lined up correctly. And there it is. Luckily, there's a keyed area underneath it, so you can tell when you got it right. That makes this really easy. Okay, now let's double check to make sure I am not missing any parts. So that's for the BA3, that's for the winter tires, that's the BA3. And these two are for if you want the snow tires on it, which I opted out of. So every part is used. And let's see here. Yeah, that's right. There's a hole in the side that I'm looking at. Like, is that hole supposed to be there? And apparently it is. So this is the complete BA6 model. It is, as I said, a Soviet early mid-war heavy armored car. So I'm going to set her aside on my workspace. I have a desk. This is my game room. And I'm going to let all the glue dry and everything completely while I go hang out with the wife and then I will come back and take it out to our garage, and I will spray paint it with a matte black rattle can. Just give it a nice light black coat, and then it will be painted like the KV1. And then it'll be ready to go on the table and fight some fascists for the motherland. Anyway, that's it. Hey, it was nice talking to you. Thank you for teaching me how to say Bora and Boria. Thank you for trying to teach me how to say that. And if I see you again, I see you again. Peace and love, man. And I hope you guys in Sweden are getting through all this. All right.